My name is Shailesh Pawar, and in this particular session, we are going to see how can we provide input to our Java program during program execution. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Okay. So in our last session, we had seen how can we provide input to our program just when our program is about to start its execution. So and that was achieved using the concept of command line arguments. And now we are going to see this particular part. How can we provide input to the program while our program is under execution and during program's execution. So let's see how to achieve this in case of a Java program. So I'm going to remove this particular code. Now, if we want this to be achieved, that is to provide input to the Java program during the program's execution, we can do so. We are going to do so by making use of two predefined classes in Java. First, we are going to see how can we make use of scanner class to achieve this, and then next we are going to see how can we make use of buffered reader class to achieve this. So first we are going to see how can we make use of scanner class to accept input of the program during program execution, and then we are going to see how can we make use of buffered reader class to accept the input during program's execution. So let's start with the use of scanner class first. So now the first thing that we will have to understand that this scanner class is a predefined class in Java. So we have not created this class, rather this class has been created by the makers of Java. And we will have to understand one thing about the predefined classes, that all the predefined classes that are there in Java have been stored inside some or other packages. So at this point in our course, you can just think of packages as folders, okay, where the predefined classes have been stored. Yes, obviously we are going to see the topic of packages in great detail in coming sessions. So packages are nothing but, in a way we can say that these are folders where the predefined classes in Java are stored. So, and that is true for this scanner class also, as this is a predefined class. This class is present in a particular package, and we would have to import that class in our program first, and then only we would be able to use that class in our code. So from now on, please keep this thing in mind, that whenever being a programmer we are going to make use of predefined classes in Java in our code, we will have to import those classes in our code first. Now question comes up, sir, why import of classes is required here? Why can't Java itself understand that the scanner class must be present in this particular package? So why can't Java make it automatically available in our program? So the reason is quite simple, because when we talk about folders, when we talk about directories, can we keep two files with the same name in two different folders? The answer is yes, we can always do that. But can we keep two files with the same name in the same folder? The answer is no. But if those files are to be kept in different directories, different folders, it is always allowed. Same thing is followed in case of Java classes also. It is possible for two classes with the same name to be present inside two different packages. And if we are going to let Java to understand which class belonging to which package is to be used in our code, at times Java might become confused, because there is a possibility that two classes with the same name can be present in two different packages. So it is always required from developer's side to let the Java compiler know that we are talking about which particular class here. We are talking about which class of which package here. And for that, the import statements are used. So I'm going to say import java.util.scanner. Now let's understand this statement first. Import java.util.scanner. So import means we want a particular class belonging to a particular package to be used in our code. The name of the class is obviously scanner, and java.util is the name of predefined package in Java which contains this class, this scanner class. So in a way, we have told Java compiler that we are talking about such scanner class present in Java that belongs to java.util package. So we have written this import statement here. So now we can always make use of scanner class in our code. And then next point. See, why are we going to make use of scanner class in our code? To be able to accept input from user during the program execution. How are we going to achieve this? By calling certain methods present inside the scanner class. But in order to do so, we have already seen this thing that whenever we want any members of class to be used in our code, the first thing that we would have to do is to create object of that class, and then only we will be able to make use of the members of the class in our code. Obviously, if the members have been declared as static, no creation of object is not required here. But if the members are non-static in nature, in order to use them in our code, we will have to create object of the class first. And that's what we are going to do here. We are going to create object of scanner class here. So we will say, so how do we create object of class in Java? So I'm going to tell you the syntax here. First, you will have to come up with the name of the class. Then you will come up with the name of the object. See, I want to tell you one thing very much clearly here, that for time being, as you people are not well versed with Java yet, I'm saying SC is the name of the object here. Technically speaking, it is not name of the object, it is a reference. But we are not going to talk about references yet. We will definitely be covering those things in coming sessions. So for time being, I'm saying SC is the name of the object here, but I'm telling you this thing that technically it is not at all 100% correct to say so. Still, in order to make things easier for you to understand, I'm saying whenever you create object of class, you first specify name of the class, then you specify name of the object, then you make use of equal to keyword, then you should say new keyword should be used here, and then you should come up with the name of the class once again, and then followed by pair of brackets. This is the syntax to create object of class in Java. If you would compare with this, with C++, obviously C++ had much lean syntax to be used. It used to be only name of the class and then the name of the object. But as far as Java is concerned, this is the syntax that we people use. We say name of the class, then name of the object, then equal to operator, then we say new, and again name of the class followed by pair of brackets. Now we will have to understand one more thing here, that scanner class object is capable of accepting input from variety of sources, out of which I want this particular object that I am going to create in my code to accept input from keyboard, from our system's keyboard. And in order to do so, here I am going to write system.in. See, as we have just started learning Java, I want to make these things easier for you to understand. I will definitely go into technical details to tell you what exactly system.in means, okay, and how exactly this entire thing is happening. But for time being, as we people are very much new with Java, you people are very much new with Java, so that's why I'm making this this particular discussion a bit of non-technical in nature. So, and just to understand the things right now, we will definitely be covering these things in much greater technical details in our coming lectures. Okay. So in this particular statement, what I have done here is I have created object of scanner class, and I have asked that object to get input from keyboard, and system.in is going to represent my keyboard here. So my scanner class object is ready. Now I'm going to ask the user of the program to provide input values for me. So I'll say enter first number here. So system.out.println, enter first number. Now we would like to accept that number, and I'm going to store that number in a variable. So I will say int x is equal to. Now I would like scanner class object to come up here and provide the number that user has entered via keyboard to me. And to do so, we will have to make use of the object sc, and we are going to call one of the methods of scanner class object here, and that method is going to be nextInt method. This nextInt method will accept the number entered by you via keyboard, and it will return it, and that return number is going to be stored inside X. And all the type conversion will automatically be handled by nextInt, because as such, if we are going to provide input via keyboard, the input would always be considered as string in nature, and the internal conversion of that string into integer will automatically be handled by this nextInt method. So we have accepted our first number here. We want to do the similar thing with our next number. So here, instead of saying enter first number, now I'm going to come up with enter second number. We will be clearly creating the second variable here, int y, say, and we'll be accepting that number also. Now I would like the values to be added, and finally we are going to come up with our answer, that is sum of, again I'll be making use of concatenation operators here, sum of x and y is ends. Okay, so now our code is complete. Let's see whether we are able to run this code properly. So I'm going to compile my program first. We'll say first prg.java. So the program would get compiled here. As you can see there is no compile time error as such. And then I'm going to say Java space name of that class which contains main method. And now no command line arguments are to be provided, because we want input to be provided during the program execution. So I'll press enter, and as you can see there, the system is asking me to enter a number here. Enter first number. I'm going to provide the number, say 12. Enter second number. I'm going to provide the number, say 23. And as you can see there, the output has been printed. Sum of 12 and 23 is 35. So this is the way in which people can make use of scanner class object to accept input from user. That too during the program execution. Now let's run our program once again. I'm going to compile this program. Sorry, no compilation is needed, as I have not made any changes to the code now. I'm just going to run this. Enter first number. Suppose I am going to provide the number as 12. Enter second number. And now let's consider that purposefully I'm going to provide some string value as an input to the program. Now let's check what will happen to our program. See, our program has been written in such a way that we are expecting user to enter numeric value only, and that too, it has to be an integer value. As you can see in this particular scenario, I have provided the input as A45, which is a string value. And now we need to understand whether this string value can be accepted by nextInt method or not. Let's check this. As you can see there, obviously, there is issue here in our program. Now, this is very interesting. Have a look at what output is being printed on screen here. Exception in thread main java.util dot input mismatch exception. Now it's not an error, rather it's an exception. See now what is an exception here? See, your Java program may show abnormal behavior, or you can say and may show error at 2 times in your program while your program was being compiled or while your program was being executed. So all the errors that occur in your program during compilation are shown to you by compiler only, and those errors are known as compile time errors. And obviously those errors are always concerned with the syntax of the language, with the grammar of the language being used. Whereas in this particular scenario, where our program had compiled successfully, but now when we are executing our program, due to wrong input provided by the user in our program, we are facing an issue here. यहाँ पे हम लोगों को issue face करना पड़ रहा है because हम लोगों ने input wrong तरीके से दिया हुआ है. So now question comes up कि फिर ये क्या है? Now this is an issue that has occurred in our program during program's execution, and such issues are known as runtime errors. Such issues are considered as runtime errors. Now runtime errors themselves can come up because of two reasons. First, your program failed because of some invalid input that was given to your program, because of some such scenario which was created while working with your program. And second, the system itself failed to execute the program. See, if the system itself has failed from its side, such type of runtime issue is considered as system error or fatal error. This is not system error or fatal error here, because when we were providing the correct input, the program was running fine. And the moment we provided wrong input, now the program is showing us issue. Such type of issue which has occurred just because user has provided the wrong input is considered as exception. Such type of runtime error which occurred in our program because of the scenarios created by the user itself or is considered as an exception. So this is an input mismatch exception here, where our code was expecting integer value to be entered by the user, and the user ended up providing a string value. Let's run the program again. Now I'm going to provide the first number as say 34, and now I'm going to provide the second number as say 5.6. Let's provide the second number as say 5.6. Now I'm going to press the enter button here. Again, you can see that input mismatch exception has come up in our code, because again the second value that we had entered was not an integer value, and this nextInt method simply failed to convert that value into an integer value. And that all of this is happening during program execution. That's why we can see the exception here. So whenever you are working with scanner class, we will have to be careful about such kind of things. इन चीजों के बारे में हम लोगों को ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. We will have to keep an eye on which method is being called here, and according to that only the input should be provided by the user. So scanner class contains lots of other methods also. It contains method called as next double, which is there to accept double value. It contains a method called as next float, which is there to accept the float value. It is there to it contains next method also, only next method, which is there to accept a string value from user. That's what we are going to see now. So I just hope that you people have noted down this program. Yes, you can always take the screenshot also, and you can later on you can write and run this program on your computer. So I'm going to make some changes here. Let's see use of next method in our code. So I'll say string str equal to sc dot next. Here I'm going to come up with this code, system.out.println. Enter your name. I'm asking user to enter his or her name, and then afterwards I'm going to say your name is. I'm going to print value of str here. So str is a variable of the type string. Again, technically speaking, I should not be calling str as a variable. I should be calling str as a reference or say object. But still, for time being, we can always say this, that str is a string type variable here. sc.next is going to accept the string value entered by you. It's going to return it and store it inside str. We are going to store it inside str, and then we are going to print it on screen again. Let's see what will happen in this program. As I have made changes to the code, I'm going to recompile the program. There are no issues. Now we are going to run this program. So I'm saying enter your name. Say, suppose I said Shailesh. And now you can see that value being printed on screen. So the value Shailesh that I had entered was a string value, which was accepted by this next method, and it was returned by next method too. It was returned by next method. We saved it inside str and we printed it on screen. Then let's run the program once again. Now this time I'm going to come up with this input. Enter your name, Shailesh space Pawar. Now I'll press enter here. You can see there only the word Shailesh got printed on screen. Pawar was not printed on my screen. My surname was not printed on my screen. Now, why did this thing happen in our program here? Because by specifying space, you had started with a new string here, and the next method is there to accept only the first string entered by user via keyboard. So the next string Pawar, the next word Pawar, was not stored, was not accepted by the next method. So only Shailesh got stored inside str, and that got printed on your screen here. Yes, you can again take screenshot of this particular program. So now question comes up that what should I do so that the program will accept the word Pawar also. If you want that to be done, just make changes to your code. Instead of calling next method, call next line method. Now what this method would do, it would accept everything that you are going to type on that line until you press enter key. So all the data that you are going to type on that line, without pressing enter, before pressing enter, all that data, that entire line would be accepted by this method, and it would be saved inside str, and that str value would be printed on screen here. Now let's run this program again. I have made the changes, so I'm going to compile the program. I'm going to run this. Enter your name. I'll say Shailesh space Pawar, and as you can see there, entire name, all the data that I had entered on the line is being displayed on screen here. Again, we'll be running this. We'll say I'm going to come up with our name, Shailesh Bhanudas Pawar, and now I'm going to press the enter button. As you can see there, my entire name is being printed on screen. So till you are going to press the enter button, whatever the data that you have typed on the screen is going to be accepted by the next line method, and it is going to get stored inside str. So now in these three programs, in a way, we have seen how would you accept integer value from user using scanner class object. How would you accept, say, string value from user using scanner class object, and how would you accept multiple string values that have been entered on the same line using scanner class object. This we have seen using scanner class, and now let's see that how would we be able to achieve this using buffered reader class. So if we are to use buffered reader class to do so, again, buffered reader class is a predefined class, and as it is a predefined class, we will first have to import it. So the code is going to get changed. Now this is going to be the import statement here. Import java.io.bufferedReader. Now why the import statement has been changed? Because buffered reader class does not belong to java.util package, rather it belongs to java.io package. So as it belongs to java.io package, we have said java.io.bufferedReader here. Then the next thing which is going to get changed is the way in which buffered reader class object is created. So we are going to say buffered reader br equal to new buffered reader. In bracket, we will be saying new input stream reader, and then in bracket we are going to say system.in. So you might, so it might seem to you that this code is little bit difficult, but it's not that much difficult. I'm going to obviously explain the code to you. As you can see there, I have created buffer reader class object in this way. We just have to apply a typical mathematical formula here. We all know that whenever we encounter brackets, the innermost bracket is going to get solved first. So we are talking about this particular innermost bracket here. So as we all know, system.in represents keyboard. So we are providing keyboard to the object of input stream reader class. As you can see there, I have made use of new keyword here. So we are assigning keyboard to the object of input stream reader class, and now that input stream reader class object, this input stream reader class object is being assigned to, is being given to buffered reader class object. Now question comes up, why can't we just assign our keyboard directly to the buffered reader? Why are we using input stream reader in between? So for time being, I would request you to understand only one thing here, that buffered reader object cannot directly work with keyboard. That's why we are assigning the buffered reader object to, so we are assigning the keyboard to input stream reader object, and we are assigning now the input stream reader object to buffered reader, because buffered reader can work with input stream reader. So if ultimately the keyboard is being made available to the buffered reader. Non-technically speaking, no, that is the explanation that I can give you right now. Okay, obviously we are going to see this in much detail when we are going to encounter IO topic in Java, input output topic in Java. So we will be talking about this thing in great detail there, and I'll be explaining you everything in terms of technicality regarding this particular statement. For time being, what you have to understand is buffered reader object cannot directly get connected with keyboard. So you require some intermediate person here which will allow the connection possible, and that intermediate person is nothing but input stream reader class. Again, input stream reader class is a predefined class which belongs to java.io package itself. So we will have to import that class also in our code. Now let's look at the changes that will happen in the remaining part of our program. So I have asked user to enter his or her name. Now in order to accept the entered value, we'll go to this part and we'll say br.readLine. So instead of next or next line method, we are going to call read line method here, because we are not working with scanner class object here, rather we are working with buffered reader class object here. So buffered reader class contains this read line method, which is used to accept everything that you are going to type on the single line until you press till you press enter key. So br.readline, readline method is going to accept all the data that you are going to enter on a single line. That entire data will get stored inside str, and then finally we'll be printing the value of str on screen. Okay. Now there is one more thing that we will have to do in this program. In this particular program, we will have to say throws exception in front of main method. Now, why is it being said so? I will explain you that part. I will give you the reason. Let's first run our code and let's first check whether we are able to run this program properly or not. So I'm going to recompile my program. As you can see there, it is showing me compile time error because while writing import statement, I have made a spelling mistake. I should have written the name of buffered reader class in this way, buffered reader. Okay, so now I guess we are good to go. The program has been compiled. We are going to run this program. Enter your name. I said Shailesh. Name got printed on screen. Enter your name. I said Shailesh space Pawar. The name got printed on screen. Enter your name. I'm going to come up my entire name here. Entire name till I pressed enter. Entire value on that line got printed on screen. Entire value got printed. So, sir, what would happen if we don't write throws exception here? Because we have not seen anything of this sort in our previous lecture. So I'm going to remove that throws exception part from this code. And now we are going to compile the code again. Now you can see there is one error. Unreported exception, IO exception must be caught or declared to be thrown. Is being displayed on our screen now. Okay. So this particular error is related with the topic called as exception handling. And yes, this is part of our course. Exception handling is a very important or integrated part of our course here, which we are going to cover in detail in coming sessions. But as far as this program is concerned, IO exception is such an exception that might occur in our code, and that exception is considered to be a serious exception, important exception from Java compiler. And Java compiler is making us understand that this is the exception that might occur in our program, which is considered to be very important one. And being a programmer, we should safeguard our program from this exception. And in order to do so, I had written this particular part here, throws exception. Now you might say that sir, the error is being displayed for IO exception, and you are saying throws exception here. So how exception word is handling IO exception here? See, I had written throws exception so that with minimum code you would be able to avoid the certain error here. That's why I had said this. But if you want, you can always write IO exception here. But if you are going to do so, again, IO exception is a predefined class, and again we would have to import that class in our code. Now once we have done this, let's compile the program and you will see the program will get compiled. If you want, you can always run this, and yes, the program would definitely run. So you can do this in any way. Either you can go for throws exception, or you can simply write throws IO exception here. And if you would want to minimize the code here, what you can simply do is you can write this single statement instead of writing those 3 import statements there, because this single statement will have the same effect. When you say import java.io.asterisk, it means you are telling this thing to compiler, Java compiler, that you are going to make use of any class present in java.io package. If you had seen those import statements previously, all of those three classes that we had used in our code were belonging to IO package only. वो सारे classes IO package को ही belong कर रहे थे. तो अगर ऐसा ही है तो instead of writing three separate import statements there, we can simply write asterisk also. Asterisk means all. तो उस पैकेज के सारे क्लासेस को अवेलेबल कर दो. I will be making use of any of the classes in my code here. Now, if we are going to compile this, yes, it is getting compiled, no issues at all. And if we are to run this, it is running fine also. So this is the way in which we can make use of buffered reader class and scanner class both in our code to accept input from user during program execution. ये वो तरीका है जिसके थ्रू हम लोग प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूशन while our program is getting executed, यूजर से इनपुट ले सकते हैं और जो भी प्रोसेसिंग करना है वो कर सकते हैं. So we are going to end our session at this point. In coming sessions, we will be exploring the remaining topics in detail from our course. Thank you. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen now.